Good morning, Kahal Kadosh. Beruchim Aba'im to everybody. Today, Tuesday, the 26th day of Sivan, corresponding to the second day of July 2024. Today's special breakfast and class graciously sponsored by Mrs. Marlene Gore La'ilui Nishmat, her beloved mother, Rachel Bat Awisha Ve Yosef Alei Shalom, that today marks the conclusion of the period of the Shiva, Iratzon, that the family may not experience any more of this type of hardships. Amen. Additionally, today's class graciously sponsored by Victor Mizrahi from Mexico, La'ilui Nishmat, his beloved father, Ishak Ben Lela, that today, also Tuesday, the 26th of Sivan, is the day of his Askara, Iratzon, that his Neshama have an Aliyah in Gan Eden. Amen. Additionally, we dedicate today's class for the Refuah Shelema of Tzipora Bat Marinel and Heleni Orna Bat Hen Hanna, among all of the Holim of Am Israel. Okay, I hear the excitement in the air for the magnificent breakfast, but I already started the recording, so I'm going to start with the class now. Before we go to the actual class of today, today is also the Hilulah or the Yortzeit of the great Tana Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel, the famous one connected to the topic of Shidduchim in a place called Amuka, that many people make the journey there in the northern part of Israel to go and to pray for Shidduchim, that in the Zechut of the Tana, which was a great sage who lived by the time of the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. He was a student of Hillel, the famous Hillel, and I did some homework, and I will like to share with the Kahal Kadosh a couple of pointers about this great tzaddik. So the Gemara in Sukkah tells us the following. Hillel HaZaken, listen to the words of the Talmud. Hillel HaZaken had 80 special students. 30 of them, they were of the caliber of Moshe Rabbeinu. 30 of them had the power to pause the movement of the sun and the moon, like it happened with Yoshua bin Nun. Remember Yoshua bin Nun on the third day of Tammuz, the third of Tammuz, the Rebbe's Yortzeit, right? Gimel Tammuz. What happened in that day? The Pasuk writes, Shemesh beGiv'on Don beYareach be'emek Ayalon. There was a war to conquer the land of Israel. And Yoshua bin Nun tells the sun and the moon, stop moving. We need to finish the war before Shabbat starts. That was on the third day of Tammuz. Yes, sir. 20 Benonim. They were middle. Yani between Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron and Yoshua bin Nun. Gadol Shebekulam, the greatest of all, Yonathan ben Uziel, the one that we're talking about today. So in the Zechut of Yonathan ben Uziel, may all the single men, may all the single ladies find Shidduchim. So today is the day to pray. Katan Shebekulam, the junior of the students of Hillel HaZaken was Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai. So imagine yourself the caliber of the students of Hillel HaZaken. Goes further and it says, Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai was and the purpose of me talking about Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai now is basically to have an understanding who was Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel. Remember, Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel is the top student of Hillel. Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai is the junior student of Hillel. What were the capabilities of Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai? And it says, all of the Chumash, Mishnah, Gemara, Halachot, Agadot, all kinds of books of Torah, including deciphering the calendar, the numerology topic of the Torah, even understanding the conversation among the Malachim, and as well as the other type of creations, even the holy matters related to godliness, including the opinions of Abaye and Rabbah. And the conclusion is, if this was Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai, the junior student of Hillel, imagine yourself how great was Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel. Goes further, the Gemara in Sukkah, and it says that whenever Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel will learn Torah, if a bird flew over his head, will burn. If you go to Amuka, I'm not sure if you're able to go today, because the northern part of Israel is going through challenging moments. But I'm sure that some in the audience did go to Amuka. I went personally several times throughout my life, and it's not easy to get there. You gotta make a kafot in a mountain, a kafot, and pray that the traffic is going smoothly. But at the end, once you arrive to the kever of Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel, you'll see exactly what we just learned. And the question is, what has to do that because he's learning Torah, a bird that flies over his head is burned? That's the language of the Gemara. I read it to you. It says, Kol of sheporeach alav miyad nisrav. Any bird that will fly over his head will burn. Perhaps the answer is the intensity and the kedusha of his Torah learning. Not only that, how many times we learn things about matters that we do in our life through Yonathan ben Uziel. Matters that if Yonathan ben Uziel does not speak about it, we will never know. For example, I'll show you one example. One example I'm allowed to share with you? Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. If you ever look at the Humashim with the name of Mikraot Gedolot, Mikraot Gedolot, we have two types of Targums in the Torah. We have Targum Unkelos and Targum Yonatan ben Uziel. Targum Unkelos, it's the literal translation of the Hebrew Chumash into the Aramaic language. So the average person that back then did not understand Hebrew but understood Aramaic, which was the language of Iraq, which was the language of the Talmud and the Zohar, so then you're able to understand the Berashah. That's why there was a moment in Jewish history that the Torah was not read like it's read today. Today we have the easy way out. You listen to the Baal Koreh and Khalas. There was a time in history that there was something called the Meturgeman. The person, the Baal Koreh, will read one pasuk. The translator will translate the pasuk. The only community that till today does this is the Yemenite community. The Yemenites today, in a hardcore Yemenite type of synagogue, that's how they read the Sefer Torah. Not only that, there was a time in history that there was no such a thing as Baal Koreh. Everyone that went up to the Sefer read their own aliyah. Unbelievable. You don't see this in our days. That's why you have a Baal Koreh. And I told some of the kids yesterday, I said, you have a gold mine in your hand. Don't settle just to read till Sheni, to read just the first aliyah. Next year you're going to do another aliyah, another aliyah. In 5 years, you're a master in Torah really. If you put the effort, nothing comes for free and nothing comes easy. This was the Targum of Unkelos. Unkelos was actually a nephew to the Caesar of Rome, a convert. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Ay, 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 ay. Es sec. Sec el bab. Beta. Anyways, now we're going to discuss about Yonathan ben Uziel. If you look on a Humash that has Targum Yonathan ben Uziel, you will see that the Targum is not a literal translation. It's an expansion of the Pasuk. And many secrets are revealed through Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel. To such an extent was the revelations, so to speak, of Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel, that it says that there was a moment that Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel was translating the book of Daniel into the Targum, and there was a shifting in the land of Israel. A shifting of the land, like an earthquake, a movement. And I'm going to read you the language. Gemara, Masechet Megillah. It says, when Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel was working on the Talmud, on the translation of the Torah, the land of Israel went through an earthquake, and it moved in a position of 400 parsaot by 400 parsaot, an exorbitant amount of shifting of the axis. And it says, there was a heavenly voice that came out, and it says, who is the one that is revealing the secrets to mankind? Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel says, I am the one that is speaking. I'm the one that is translating the Humash and the Nevi'im into a way that people can understand the secrets. And it says, I didn't do it for me. I did not do it for the honor of my parents. I did it to reveal the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. And let me see if I have the next part of the page. Right here. Galui beyadua lichvodcha asiti. I did it in your honor. Shelo irbu mahloket beIsrael. To minimize the argument among the people. What does it mean? What argument? I think that the argument that Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel is referring to is the interpretation of the Humash. What exactly is the Humash telling us? Now, goes further, and it says that when it came to the Ketubim, he was told, stop. Why? שבכתובים יש רמזים לקץ המשיח. Because there are hints of when Mashiach will be coming. And it says that the kever of Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel is one of the most popular kevarim in the history of the Jewish people. People go there, people pray, people pour their heart, and many of them have a happy ending by finding the suitable shidduch that they have been waiting for. And it says, let me see if there is anything else. Okay, what happens this? Why the kever of Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel? Do me a favor, Sadiq. Go to the outside bookshelf. See if you find me Mikraot Gedolot only, Bereshit. Should be some scattered outside, maybe the Art Scroll volume, the blue one. Hebrew only, thank you so much. Now, why people go to the kever of Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel to find a shidduch?
He wasn't married.
Short answer, because he was never married. He was never married. And the question is, why not? Okay, that's easy for you to say. But that's a correct answer. He loved Torah so much that he understood that my mission, his mission in the world, was to become a great Talmid Chacham and to share of his Torah knowledge with the Jewish world till today. Is that a right decision or not? Who am I? Okay, relax. استنى شوية. Let me, I have to. So it says, very simple. Was that the right decision to make? Probably many Hachamim will say, no. Why not? כי לא טוב להיות האדם לבדו. But nevertheless, he said, he made us a commitment, and it says that anyone that will come to his kever to pray, Be'ezat Hashem, they will have the zechut of finding a shidduch. That's what this footnote says. Now, there are a couple of stories mentioned of miracles that happened of people who left Sidurim in the kever, forgot the Sidur, and somebody else that came to pray found the Sidur and called the person, oh, you were in Amuka? Yeah, I also was in Amuka. What are you looking for? I'm looking for a boy. What are you looking for? I'm looking for a girl. Ah, you're looking for a girl, Baruch Hashem. Okay, you're looking for a boy, you're looking for a girl. 2 options only, no more, please. Okay, I know, you make you laugh. I make you laugh, okay, that's good. But he says, many shidduchim happen, just, thank you so much. Hazak Baruch. Yagata umatzata ta'amin. You look for it, you will find it. So let me share with the Kahal Kadosh one thing from Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel. Just one moment. No, this is the previous parasha. I went too far. I have it. Okay. Listen to this pasuk. Right here. Okay. Just one moment. Aha. I missed the page. It's right here. Okay. The background of this pasuk. And pay attention because we all do this. And the source is Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel. Perashat Toledot. Perashat Toledot tells the situation or the incident when Yaakov Abinu dressed up like Esav and received the berachot ve'iten lecha ha'elokim. Vayomer, Ishak says, Ata ze beni Esav? Are you my son Esav? Vayomer, Ani. I am who I am. This is Yaakov Abinu talking. He didn't say, I am Esav. He says, I am who I am. Nice answer. Vayomer, Ishak says, Hagishali be'ochela misel beni. Bring the food so I can eat from you're bringing. Leman tevarechecha nafshi. In order for me to bless you. Because when your stomach is full, you bless better somebody than when your stomach is empty. Because when your stomach is empty, you're in a rush. You need to eat. Okay? Vayagesh lo. He provided for him. Vayochal. And he ate. But the pasuk says, Vayabe lo yain vayesht. And wine was brought to him, and he drank. That's the end of the pasuk. In the Sefer Torah, when we read this pasuk, and we talk about the wine, it's not just red dry. It's Vayabe darga. Usually darga follows is followed by tevir, is some of the ta'amim. So it will be Vayavelo. That will be Dargat tevir. But in this case, if you look, you have tere ta'amim. You have double ta'amim under the word lo. Vayavelo yain vayesh. Whenever we have this tune in the pasuk, it's called tere ta'ame, double digit ta'am. It means that something is going on. Now, if I read this pasuk to you, do you know what's going on? Do you know what's going on? No. Let's welcome Yonathan ben Uziel. Va'amar, translation of Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel. Bring closer the food for me to bless you. And comes Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel and it says, Vela havahamra gave. Yaakov didn't have wine. What did Ishaq requested? Meat. He said, bring me two meats, two different cuts. Yani corned beef and brisket. But hold on, because corned beef and brisket may be the same type of cut, just different seasoning. So let's say brisket on top of the rib. You like that? Okay. Or shoulder steak and rib steak. You like that? Ribeye roast? Okay, but if you give the ribeye roast, I don't think you can have the top of the rib, unless you're mahmir and you separate the top of the rib from the ribeye roast. Now, why was two animals required for the meal of Ishaq? How much meat can a person eat? Short answer, that night was Pesach. So now you need Korban Pesach and Korban Hagigah. You need the festive holiday, the festive offering, and you need the Pesach offering. But what else do you need in the night of Pesach? Wine. He had no wine. He had no wine. So how suddenly the pasuk says, "Vayavelo yain vayesht." So it says, Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel, "Beizdamen le malacha, be'aite min hamra." The malachim delivered wine to Yaakov Avinu. That's why now you understand the Hebrew. Vayavelo. Vayavelo in English means what? It was brought to him. What does that mean? That he didn't have. Now Yaakov Avinu says, I need help. Tonight is Pesach. I need wine. I need wine. Instant Instacart. The Malachim delivered wine. This wine was prepared from the creation of the world. And it was delivered to Yaakov. And Yaakov brought the wine to drink. This is Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel. Comes the Ben Ish Chai. And it says, but there was one more component. You did good round one. Go back round two. Bring me a Sidur. Give you two options. Sukkot David Shabbat version, which can be in the outside of the synagogue against the wall, or the full Hebrew English art scroll, Sephardic Sidur. Should be right there next to the elevator, blue binding cover. Both of them are blue and gold. I know what Sidurim have and what they don't have. That's why I ask specifically for those two Sidurim. Hazak Baruch. You see? Next time I'm going to ask, can you bring Mashiach? So far you did great. 2 out of 2. 2 out of 2. Hazak Baruch. Listen to this Ben Ish Hai on the Kiddush of Shabbat night. Some people say it, some people don't say it. I personally say it. I'm going to read it to you very quickly. No Yom HaShishi. Everybody says Yom HaShishi. If you don't say Yom HaShishi, what kind of Shabbat do you have? That's not Shabbat. That's called Friday night dinner. It's a big difference. Friday night dinner is not Shabbat dinner. Train yourself to speak in a Jewish way. You'll be surprised what the Baal Shem Tov says when you throw in words of holiness. I know. Okay. Listen to the Ben Ish Hai. And it says, may it be your will. I'm giving to the translation of the Art Scroll. Hashem, our God and the God of our forefathers, that in the merit of diluting the cup of the Kiddush wine with water, you fill out hands with your blessing, with the riches of the gift of your hands. And now listen to the Ben Ish Hai quoting the Targum Yonathan ben Uziel. And in the merit of Yaakov Avinu, who sweetened the forces of judgment with kindness, as it is written in the Targum Yonathan, and he brought him wine and he drank, that the true water into the wine. The spilling of water into the wine, it's originated by the Targum Yonathan ben Uziel, based on the night of Yaakov Avinu giving wine to his father, which was the night of Pesach. Who doesn't put water in the wine of Shabbat night? 3 drops. And we say the pasuk, Malei yadenu bebirchotecha, me'osher matenot yadecha, Rashi tevot mayim. Malei yadenu bebirchotecha. Let's read again. It says, let me read it to you again. May in the merit of diluting the cup of the Kiddush wine with water, that's the water, you fill Malei yadenu bebirchotecha, you fill our hands with your blessings. Malei yadenu mibirchotecha, Rashi tevot mayim. Water. That's why Miami is called Miami. I'm not kidding you. Why do you think Miami? Miyam, from the ocean. And from the read it backwards, Imaim, the island of water. Island in Hebrew, it's I. Imam, Imaim, Miami. You have water from both sides. I'm not kidding you. When I say things, I may be joking occasionally, but certain things I'm clear. Me'osher, mem, matenot, mem, yadecha, yod, maim. Mem, yod, Isaac mem, yod mem, maim. Who sweetened the forces of judgment with kindness. Wine is judgment. Why wine is considered din? For 2 reasons. Reason number 1, red. And reason number 2, because intoxicates the person. And once the person becomes intoxicated through alcoholism, midat adin becomes activated on the person. Now, the wine, not today's wine, but back then, the wine was so pure and so heavy on the body, the Gemara tells us that there were certain Hachamim that from Pesach till Shavuot, they were not able to drink wine. They will use grape juice or bread for Kiddush. So in order to mitigate the power of the wine, we add a few drops of water. But Kabbalistically, the redness of the wine, it's called din, and the water is from Shamayim, is Rahamim. Because all the water comes from Shamayim. Don't kid yourself. All the water comes from Shamayim. Oh, that you see, but what about the water there behind me, behind you? Where do you think the water came from? From Shamayim. That's why Shamayim is called Shamayim. That's why the heaven in Hebrew is called Shamayim. Shamayim. There is the water. And in the first week of the creation, the upper waters and the lower waters were separated. This is what the Ben Ishai writes, Vayave lo yain vayesh. The way the Pasuk says that wine was brought to him, and he quotes obviously Bereshit, the one that we are reading now, in the name of the great Targum Yonathan ben Uziel in today's Yortzeit. Unbelievable. Let me see if there is anything else. One moment, please. And then the next pasuk says, Vaigash, and he got close to him, Vaishaklo, and he blessed him, Vayara hetreach begadav, and he smelled the smell of his garments, Vaivarechehu, and he blessed him. And it says, Re'eh reach beni, my son, you smell like the field that was blessed by the Almighty. Comes the Targum Yonatan ben Uziel, and it says, you smell like the ketoret. The smell of the ketoret that will be offered in the Beit HaMikdash. The Shekhinah is with you. God is with you. Again, we can read any pasuk. Let me open up any pasuk. The pasuk may be 10 words long. Targum Yonatan ben Uziel is 50 words long, because he expanded the pasuk. That was the greatness of Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel. I mean, there are more pesukim but different humashim, so I don't want to bother the young man again, but I think that for today we got a bit of understanding who Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel was. As I said in the beginning, he was a Tana, a student of Hillel HaZaken, and Be'ezat Hashem, even though you cannot go to Amuka because you are in Miami, but make a prayer today, give tzedakah in his honor, light a candle at home, and say, I'm hereby lighting a candle in honor of Rabbi Yonathan ben Uziel, in his zechut, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu send me the right shidduch, and if it's not for you because you're married, for your children, grandchildren, whoever it may be, just do it, and Be'ezat Hashem you'll have Besurot Tovot. Now let's discuss just a few lines from the Gemara of today. So the Gemara of today comes from Masechet Gitin. Now there is an interesting chapter in Masechet Gitin that discusses chapter number 5. Chapter number 5, it's a famous chapter in the Gemara of Gitin for many reasons. One of the basic reasons is because in Gemara Gitin chapter 5 talks about the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. That's why it's found in Masechet Gitin. What does it mean? Very simple. Topics which are found in a specific volume of the Talmud have a connection with the title of the Talmud. For example, where do you find the laws of candle lighting for Shabbat? Which Gemara? Shabbat. What about Hanukkah? Shabbat. What about Purim? Megillah. So far, so good. Pesach. Pesach. Very good. Where is it found? The story of the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. Gemara Giti. Story of Kamsa Bar Kamsa, the famous story. Gemara Giti. Why? Short answer. Because the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash, it's like husband and wife getting divorced. Got a divorce from the Jewish people. That's simple. That's simple. What is getting divorced? Has v'shalom. But occasionally it does happen. What does that mean?
The first instruction or the second one?
The second one is the one that the Gemara discusses, but doesn't matter. First and second are the same. Destruction is destruction. Eviction is eviction. That's it. Life is not the same. We went into Galut. Now, but interesting enough, in the same chapter that speaks about the destruction, which we all know the reason of the second Bet HaMikdash. Why was the second Bet HaMikdash destroyed? People observed the Torah. People learned the Torah. There was no idolatry. There was no murder. There was no adultery, which were the sins that prompted the destruction of the first temple. Second temple was destroyed basically not because we were not doing the things that we were supposed to do. We were doing them, but regretfully there was an added component, animosity among people. You can call it narcissism, you can call it belittling, you can call it baseless hatred, you can call it lashon hara. Bottom line, the relationship between the Jewish people wasn't in the proper way. But in the same chapter, the Gemara discusses certain takanot mipene darke shalom. Mipene darke shalom in English means that certain rules were activated to preserve the peace among people. Meaning to say, if the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash took place because of animosity among people, means that the rebuilding of the Bet HaMikdash can be activated through unity, through harmony, through acceptance, through forgiveness, etc. Comes the Gemara and it tells us a couple of takanot for Darkei Shalom. One of them, let me read you very quickly the Mishnah, although the Mishnah, the chapter of the Mishnah, it's a bit long, but let me read you maybe one or two. So the Mishnah writes the following. Kohen kore tefitehila. The Kohen, right here, Mishnah 8. Elu devarim amru mipene darkei shalom. These are the following scenarios that Hachamim activated as a way of life for one goal. Mipene darkei shalom. To preserve peace among people. Meaning to say, we have enough differences among us to add more. Number one, it says, Kore Kohen Rishon. The Kohen goes up to the Sefer number one. Kohen ha'oleh yamod bechavod. Levi number two. Israel number three. Mipene darkei shalom. Why Hachamim made such a thing? Very simple. Because if there is no seder when it comes to give the aliyot, maybe you wanted the first aliyah, and you'll say, why do you give it to him? I want it. So this way, by saying, no, the Kohanim go first. That's it. So you have no claim to aliyah number one, number two at least. So we took 20% of the problem out. Next. מערבים מבית ישן, מפני דרכי שלום. Has nothing to do with kemach yashan here. Has to do with doing the eruv. And let me explain very simple. A courtyard that has a lot of homes. Which and where do we do the eruv? It says, בבית הישן, the original home. The home that we always needed. I know, but I just built my home. I want to bring blessing to my home. Don't do it there. It's an old house. Do it in the new house. The Mishnah says no. Once we're doing it in that house, why? Because you have a new house, you're allowed to hurt that person by telling him your house is old? No. Once Hachamim approved where to do the Eruv Haserot, that's the tradition that we follow. The Gemara brings, the Mishnah rather, brings additional scenarios. But let me read quickly what the Gemara says. Mena hane mile. Where do you learn that you are allowed to add or to have guidelines when we don't see them openly written? Yani, I understand for the sake of peace, you want to mitigate mahloket. But give me a source. What do you think? Hachamim wake up one morning and say, okay, we decided from now on, Kohen first. The Gemara says they didn't decide it. It's actually a pasuk in the Torah. Which pasuk is in the Torah? So it says the Gemara, ויכתוב משה in ספר דברים את התורה הזאת ויתנה אל הכהנים. The first recipients of the Torah, the first line of teaching were Kohanim, then Leviim, and then Israelim. Comes the Gemara and brings another concept, a few other pesukim, but bottom line, the Gemara brings one more proof, and it says, hold on a minute, Bekidashto, the Kohen is to be sanctified, lechol davar sheva kedusha, any matter related to holiness. Who said this? Rabbi Ishmael, the famous Rabbi Ishmael from yesterday, that we learned about him. And it says, Liftoach Rishon, he goes up to the Torah first. Levarech Rishon, when it comes to Zimun, Chavot, Kohen. Unless the Kohen says, Chavot, Rabbi. And Litol Mana Yafa Rishon, if we're sitting here and there is a tray of sambusak, who gets the first sambusak? According to the Gemara, besides the ladies. Ladies always first. But after the wonderful ladies already served, who is next in line to receive sambusak? Kohanim. The rabbi doesn't take. The rabbi is given. That's it. I don't want to go to Gog Magog war for the 84 sambusaks or 120 sambusaks. You eat, I talk. I eat after. That's why I don't go. I don't take. Goes further. Comes the Gemara and it says a fascinating hidush, and with this we finish. Comes the Gemara and it says a fascinating concept. Amar le Abaye le Rabbi Yosef. Abaye says to Rabbi Yosef, a fascinating hidush. It says, by the way, mipene darkei shalom, for the sake of peace, is a biblical commandment. It's not nice, because sometimes people do things because it's the proper thing, the proper way. is the etiquette way, which is wonderful. I'm not telling you not to do it. But the Hidush of the Gemara says, you think that you're doing it only for the sake of peace? You're obligated to pursue peace. In other words, if making something adjustment, like we discussed, the honor to the Kohanim, the Aliyah, etc., you're actually fulfilling a commandment, a requirement from the Torah. So Rabbi Yosef says to Abaye, what mitzvah is in the Torah that talks about peace? I know, mitzvot, believe in Hashem, Puron Talet, Tefillin, Kasher, family purity, Shabbat, Sha'atnes, whatever 613 mitzvot. Is there a mitzvah that says you have to pursue peace? So answers the Gemara, it's not a mitzvah, because a mitzvah means that it's a commandment. What is the command? The meaning of the word commandment. I have to do it. Meaning to say, if you don't tell me that I have to do it, I will not do it. Will the Jewish people eat kasher if the Torah doesn't tell me you have to eat kasher? No. Will we put on tefillin or light the Shabbat candles if the Torah and the Halakha doesn't tell me? Hence the word mitzvah comes from the Lashon tzivui. It's an order. I have to execute. I have to do the mitzvah. Says Abaye, Shalom is not an order. Shalom is a way of life that is not negotiable. If we do a mitzvah, fine. If we don't do a mitzvah, not fine. Means that I have the freedom of choice, correct? I do the mitzvah, I don't do the mitzvah. When it comes to peace, there is no freedom of choice. Sure, if you pursue peace, your choice will be to do the right thing and to preserve the peace and to bring harmony and friendship among people. But if I'm not going to do that, I'm failing in the basic principles of the Torah. Now, where does the Gemara learns such a statement? It says it's a pasuk, Deracheha darche noam. That's it. Bechol netivoteha shalom. Deracheha, the ways of the Torah, darche noam, are the ways of pleasantness. In other words, the Torah expects me to be pleasant, to be nice, to be proper, to be respectful towards others. This has nothing to do with our relationship with God. It has to do with interpersonal relationship. But I'll tell you a secret, that our relationship with God is also determined our relationship with people. In other words, if we think that they are two separate chapters, with God I get 100 and with people I get 49, it's not considered two separate grades. It's considered that they blend with each other. And believe me, to have a 49% of behavior with people is not something to be proud of. You are in deficit. You're in deficit. Haz v'shalom. I look around the room, everybody's super nice. At least at the synagogue and when I'm around. What happens afterwards, I'm not a prophet. I hope what I see is what I get all over.
Amen.
Amen. And that's why in our morning prayers, it's part of our daily prayers. In the morning, what do we pray for? God, help me to be Yerei Shamayim at home like I'm on the street. Usually on the street, when you are with people, we show good, we behave good. We come home, we remove the mask. Or we go to the street and we put on a mask. I don't know which way it can go. And that's what the Gemara says. Shenayim mamtinim ze laze b'ke'ara. Let's say we are going 2 people to the restaurant. Who should serve themselves first? Never be the first. Let's say the waiter brought the tray. The waiter brought the tray, but you went to wash or you went to use the restroom. The person waiting, don't take food. Wait till the other person is in front of you. Offer. Bechavod, bechavod. Please. No, you, whatever. If you go with your wife on a date, obviously your fiancé or your wife will be first. But let's say 2 friends go to eat. The Gemara says it. Shenayim mamtinim ze laze b'ke'ara. You wait. 3 people, 2 don't wait for 1. But 1 waits for the other. Now, also, the person who makes the hamosi, okay, you make hamosi at home. Usually the Baal Habayit makes hamosi and he distributes to everyone, unless he wants to give kavod to someone else. Let's say your parents are eating with you at home. Kavod, kaved et avicha ve'et imecha, part of honoring your parents. What do? You serve them first. Or you tell Dad, Mom, please, faddal, you take first. Don't jump, even though it's your home. Why? Because it's your physical home. But the mitzvah of kaved et avicha ve'et imecha supersedes even that you own the home. And these are more scenarios the Gemara brings down. So what happens in the event that there is no Kohen? There is no Kohen. So the short answer is, once there is no Kohen, nitpareda ahavila. The package is open. What does it mean? There is nobody else. So let the Gabbai decide who to give the aliyah to. But the Gemara seems to, if you read between the lines, to fight for an aliyah is not beneficial. And Halakha brings it down when 2 people want the same aliyah. Let's say 2 people have yortzeit and they want Kaddish. There is only 1 Kaddish Shabbat, you have 2 Kaddishim, because Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh is easy to accommodate. But let's say there's only 1 Kaddish. You know what the Halakha says? Better to get any aliyah than getting an aliyah with Kaddish, but you have to fight for it. Because it does not benefit the neshama. You think that the soul of your relative, that you want to say the Kaddish, it's happy that you fought. You know, you have to understand one thing. And I'm going to close the book, and then we're going to finish in 1 minute or 2. I'll tell you something. We need to understand, and maybe easier said than done, Haim Tovim, but I'm going to tell you the following, that once we do something in memory of someone, what it may have been considered a nice gesture in this world, the neshamot look at things from a different perspective altogether. Meaning, in my mind, in your mind, no, I want mashlim with kaddish, with hashkava. If I don't do it, it's like I'm eating bread in Pesach. No, you're not eating bread in Pesach. Because if you're going to fight with another person to get the aliyah, you know who suffers? The neshama. Because you're fighting. It's like I tell people, family members that sometimes fight for inheritances, for money, for scenario. I said, what do you think your father, I said it to somebody the other day, what do you think your father will say if he's listening to you? You will not be happy. So why are you doing it? You think your father is resting peacefully in his cabin, in his grave, knowing that two siblings are fighting for money? That he left? True story. True story, I'm telling you. Regretfully, something that does happen. You know, the Gemara says about the person that is mevater, a person that is easygoing. Being easygoing, mevater also means letting it go. Let it go. Ignore it. Don't pay attention. Why? Because the more we dwell on negativity, the more strength we give it. More negative power we give it. Sometimes in Hebrew there is a statement that says, "Mi shemevater lo mafsid." Whoever is easygoing and whoever lets go of the drama, guaranteed will never lose. Okay, my good friends? Now, on a personal note, some of you know that I'm leaving first thing in the morning tomorrow to Deal. You too? Have a safe trip. We'll see you in Deal, Be'ezat Hashem. I'll be in Deal in Brooklyn, so the recording will resume when I come back. For the local audience, Rabbi Achami will be giving the class for the Torah and company and the recipients of our daily class. Last Friday, my mistake, obviously, the class got stuck in the server and did not send. I only realized that almost a Shabbat when I went to check something and somebody sends me an email. Rabbi, what happened to the class from yesterday? So I found it. It got stuck in the server for some reason. I already liberated from the server freezer mode and it's scheduled to be sent, God willing, Friday morning. So if you want to, for something for Shabbat, you can see it in Torah, or you wait till you get the email or the WhatsApp. Otherwise, we'll see each other when I come back. Be'ezat Hashem, Shavua Tov and Chodesh Tov. Remember this Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, 2 Sefer Torah, Musaf, Hallel, Shabbat, and Sunday. Tizkul Yeshanim Rabot, everybody, and we'll see you Be'ezat Hashem. Baruch Adonai, thank you. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen.